Hello, everyone. Tonight we are going to talk about what it means when someone says, I love you, and then puts a down payment on someone else's future. It's a little like being handed a birthday cake, only to find out it was meant for your replacement. You might be shocked to hear this story, but trust me, by the end, you'll be surprised how familiar it feels. Before I started this emotional story, I thought a lot about whether to tell it or not. I struggled a lot and decided to tell you about my incident. Please support me to be more confident in the following stories by liking the video and subscribing to the channel. Now, close the door, turn off the lights, and draw the curtains. A little candle would be nice. Let's go on a journey together tonight. It started normally, which is exactly how the worst things begin. She'd leave sticky notes for you in the morning, little things like, buy oat milk, or love you, have a smooth day, with a doodle of a coffee cup and a heart that always looked slightly rushed. You told yourself it was cute, domestic, routine. You thought everything was fine, not fireworks fine, but soft, reliable fine. You made dinner. She cleaned up. You binge-watched a show you weren't even into because she said she loved the soundtrack. Then came the late meetings. Nothing shady at first. She said she was working with her cousin on a side project, something creative. Nothing big. You asked questions. She dodged politely. You brushed it off. People have lives. That's healthy, right? But then the signs stacked up. She changed her lock screen. You caught her whispering on the phone with the door closed. She started leaving earlier, coming back quieter. One night, she came home smelling like fresh paint. You joked, "What, are you painting houses now?" She smiled. Kind of. You should have pressed, but you didn't, because asking meant you were insecure, and you wanted to be the cool one, the supportive one. Here's the controversial truth. Sometimes we play understanding just to delay heartbreak. You were the understanding one right up until the moment you found the folder. It wasn't even hidden, just left open on her laptop, as if she'd forgotten you existed in the same space. The tab said, Close in documents. Another said, Mortgage rates. You scrolled, slowly, as if reading slower would soften the punch. Photos. A 3-bedroom house with blue siding and a front porch, labeled, Our Starter Home. And the hour? It wasn't you. You sat back on the couch, the one she hated because it squeaked every time someone moved. You didn't squeak this time. You just sat very, very still. A minute later, she walked in. You didn't even look up. You asked, So, who's the cosigner? The silence that followed? That was louder than any scream. She didn't cry. She didn't deny. She didn't even say your name. She just said, I didn't think you'd find out like this. And that's the moment your reality split. There was the world you lived in 5 seconds ago, and the one you were now crashing into. You asked, Did you ever love me? She looked tired. Yes. But I needed more. More? You gave her plants, playlists, the better side of the bed. You gave her your weekends, your passwords, your grandmother's chili recipe. What was more? You don't remember much after that. She packed a bag, said something about not wanting drama, and then she left. No suitcase. Just her keys on the counter and a sticky note that said, Sorry. That night, you sat in the kitchen for hours. You opened the fridge 12 times. You texted your best friend, then deleted it. You played her favorite song, then hated yourself for doing it. You Googled, Can heartbreak cause chest pain? And cleared your search history after. You told yourself this was fine. You told yourself breakups happen. But it wasn't a breakup. It was an eviction. You got kicked out of the life you thought you were building. And that? That kind of betrayal doesn't fit in a breakup playlist. Morning came without sunlight, just a gray smear across your blinds, like the sky forgot to finish loading. You woke up still wearing yesterday's socks and a headache shaped exactly like the house she bought. First thing you did? Poured cereal into a mug because the bowls were dirty, and you didn't feel like granting dishes the dignity of soap. The milk was almost out. You sniffed it, shrugged, and poured anyway. Congratulations. You're officially a bachelor cliché, coming soon to a streaming platform near you. Your apartment began its slow transformation that day. Every surface turned into a grief altar. Takeout containers stacked like archaeological layers, mismatched socks draped over chairbacks, her half-empty shampoo bottle functioning as an emotional landmine in the shower. You'd tiptoe around it, as if suds could trigger memories. Around noon, you decided to get fresh air, which actually meant Googling the address you'd seen in those mortgage forms. You found the listing complete with pastel-filtered photos, vaulted ceilings, wooden beams, a backyard big enough for a future dog. The realtor's write-up used words like cozy and perfect for entertaining, as if betrayal made for great patio chat. You zoomed in on one image and caught a glint of something familiar, her blue tote bag. Your vacation. Tote bag. To be precise, resting near a new stainless steel fridge. She'd moved on so fast she didn't even bother buying new reusable bags. The audacity of eco-friendly infidelity. That night you ordered pizza, then wings, then ice cream. The delivery guy greeted you by name on the third visit and asked, "Rough week." You answered with a laugh that probably sounded like a cartoon kettle with low self-esteem. Joke 1. You tipped him in quarters and existential despair. While doom-scrolling listings you could never afford, you stumbled on an odd fact. In Iceland, houses don't have real estate numbers. They're named. Seabreeze, Fox Hollow, and your personal favorite, King Under the Mountain. You tried imagining her new place with a whimsical name, came up with the Rebound Ranch, chuckled, then felt the hollow echo in your chest. You spent 3 straight evenings on the couch, curtains drawn, the TV asking, "Are you still watching?" like a judgmental aunt. You always clicked yes out of spite. Around episode 6 of whatever show about nothing, you realized you'd memorized the food delivery jingle. Joke 2. You sang it in the shower, giving the shampoo bottle a front-row seat to your collapse. Friends texted. "You okay?" You replied with thumbs-up emojis because the energy cost of actual words was higher than Bitcoin during a hype cycle. One buddy suggested yoga. Another suggested whiskey. You picked option C, marathon cleaning. But grief cleaning is like folding fitted sheets. Technically possible, but mostly just wrestling fabric until you give up. You vacuumed, then cried at the dust bunnies, certain they formed her initials. You tried cooking an actual meal, burned garlic, set off the smoke alarm, waved a towel like a surrendered flag. The room smelled like defeat seasoned with carbon. About a week in, you hit the personal event rock bottom. You drove past the house. Yes, the one she bought. You told yourself you were just in the neighborhood, which is hilarious because it was 40 minutes away, and you don't own a car charger for that long of a petty expedition. You parked across the street, engine idling like your dignity. Lights glowed inside, warm, inviting, like a Hallmark ad for betrayal funding. You saw silhouettes moving, laughter, maybe a toast. Could have been a realtor. Could have been the new co-signer. Could have been ghosts who flip houses. You felt your heartbeat in your teeth. Thought about marching up, ringing the doorbell, delivering a monologue worthy of late-night reality TV. But you didn't. You just sat there, gripping the steering wheel until your knuckles matched the moon. A cat strolled across the hood, looked at you with mild disapproval, then left. Even random felines were judging your life choices. Driving back, you caught your reflection in the rear view, eyes puffy, jaw clenched, hair doing an impression of an abandoned bird's nest. That's when the third joke happened, out loud to yourself. Wow, I'd totally swipe left on me right now. You laughed so hard you had to pull over. The absurdity hit like a sneeze, sudden, unstoppable. Because here you were, a grown adult, stalking a mortgage. If embarrassment burned calories, you'd have single-handedly invented a fitness trend. Later that night, you tried journaling. Page 1. She bought a house. Page 2. With someone else. Page 3. A doodle of a sad little stick figure waving goodbye to a giant dollar sign. Art therapy, budget edition. Random fact break. Because your brain needed distractions. Did you know octopuses have 3 hearts and blue blood? That's 2 more hearts than you can currently spare, and the exact color your face turned when you imagined her painting the new guest room. You considered revenge. Maybe mail her a glitter bomb. Maybe sign her up for snail mail brochures about llama ownership. But each idea fizzled when you realized it required more effort than turning off autoplay. One day, scrolling through her social feed, yes, still, you saw a caption, "Home is where the heart grows." Controversial phrase alert. You whispered, "Home is where the hypocrisy glows," then felt simultaneously clever and pathetic. Days stretched. Your apartment reeked of cardboard and soy sauce. You finally took out the trash, nearly weeping when you discovered an old photo strip taped to the bin. Both of you making ridiculous faces, her kiss landing on your cheek. You crumpled it, then smoothed it out, then crumpled again. Emotional origami. You started sleeping on the couch by choice. Bed felt like enemy territory. Each morning, you'd pat the cushions like loyal soldiers. They squeaked back in solidarity. One evening, a storm rolled in. Thunder rattled the window. You made tea, wrapped in the blue hoodie still hanging in your closet, aware that it no longer smelled like her, just faint detergent and your own stubbornness. You decided not to wash it, ever. Let it fade on its own. You whispered to the room, "I hope the roof leaks." It was petty, sure, but at least it was honest. And then, you noticed something. The plant she'd given you. Plant had a new shoot. A tiny, ridiculous green sprout pushing through the dirt, oblivious to your spirals. Life, apparently, has no respect for your narrative arc. You stared at that sprout for a long time, mug of tea warming your palms, felt something loosen in your chest. Maybe hope, maybe indigestion. You couldn't tell yet. But it was movement, and movement is better than mold. Eventually, the grief stops making noise. Not because it's gone, but because it's learned how to blend into the background hum. Like the old fridge in your kitchen. Always there, always vibrating slightly, but no longer demanding your attention. One morning, you actually woke up in bed. No couch, no hoodie, just you. A pillow that didn't judge, and the sun being borderline polite through the blinds. You brushed your teeth. Didn't skip mouthwash this time. Put on a shirt that wasn't technically clean, but passed the sniff test, which, honestly, felt like growth. Then came the real turning point. You looked in the mirror and didn't immediately wince. There were bags under your eyes, sure, But they weren't carrying heartbreak anymore, just some mild insomnia and a late-night taco. At work, someone complimented your outfit. You replied, "Thanks," without making a self-deprecating joke immediately after. You even laughed at a meme that had nothing to do with loss. You didn't stalk her profile that day, not even once. You almost texted her by accident. Muscle memory is cruel. But you caught yourself. Progress. Then came the curveball. A friend sent you a real estate listing. You're not going to believe this. And there it was. Her house. For sale. Same porch. Same shutters. But the furniture was gone. The caption read, "Charming fixer-upper. Ideal for a fresh start." The irony was so thick you could spread it on toast. You refreshed the page 3 times just to make sure it wasn't a cached version. It wasn't. You didn't know why it hit you so weirdly. You should have felt vindicated. You should have celebrated. But instead, you sat on the floor, staring at your phone, whispering, "Guess her heart needed a new location." You started pacing. Thought about reaching out. Just a quick, "Hope you're well." But then the realist in you pulled the emotional emergency brake. What would that accomplish? What would you even say? "Hey, saw your heartbreak bungalows on the market. Is the guest room still haunted by my emotional availability?" Number you knew better. Instead, you closed the tab, slowly, like shutting the cover of a book you finally finished, without needing to reread the last chapter. That night, you opened the drawer. You know the one. Every post-relationship survivor has it. Hers was the bottom drawer of your dresser, half filled with forgotten socks, bobby pins, a tube of lip balm, and a card she wrote you last Valentine's Day. To many more sunsets. You sat on the floor again, knees up, heart soft. One by one, you pulled out the items. You gave each a moment. A tiny goodbye. The socks? Donation pile. The lip balm? Trash. The card? You read it once, then again, then folded it into an origami crane and left it on the windowsill. Seemed poetic. Or at least mildly eccentric. The drawer was empty now. And weirdly, so were you. But not in the hollow way. In the spacious way. That's when your phone buzzed. A text from a friend. A group hang. No pity, no, "How are you holding up?" Just, "You in?" You hesitated, not because you were sad, but because you weren't sure if the world was ready for you to start living again. Then again, maybe the world didn't get to vote. You replied, "I'm in." The next morning, you left your apartment early. New shirt, real breakfast. Hair, decent. You stopped at your local cafe, ordered a drink you hadn't had in months. The barista smiled. "Long time no see." You smiled back. "I've been renovating." Later that week, you walked past a little plant shop. In the window was a sign. "Looking for new roots?" You laughed. Actually, out loud. You went inside and bought another plant. This one? You named it Closure. The lights are low now. You're still here, still breathing, still building, still figuring out how to be okay when something ended before you got to understand why. You didn't get the answers. You didn't get the neat goodbye. You didn't even get your hoodie back. But what you did get was distance, perspective, and a drawer you finally emptied. She said she loved you, and maybe in her way she did. But love that disappears into a mortgage with someone else? That love wasn't yours to keep. What you keep is what you learned. You learned how to sit in silence without filling it with lies. You learned how to cry without an audience. How to laugh again, really laugh. How to live with a story that never got its apology scene. You don't need one. You've moved your heart out of a place it didn't belong, and you've started decorating your peace. One plant, one joke, one slow, steady breath at a time. So if you're still lying there, earbuds in, thinking this is where your story ends, it's not. It never was. You're still writing. And the next chapter, you get to choose the title, thank you, and good night. If you've ever had a story that didn't end the way you wanted, share it in the comments. And if you want more late-night honesty, soft laughs, and gentle chaos, don't forget to subscribe. You're not alone. We're in this quiet together.